Hi, I'm Katie, and this is episode 77 of Ornamentations, which is going to have a little bit of everything today. I have an FFO. I have already finished my August 12 by 12 ornament, even though it's only the very start of August. Look at how proactive I am. I'm so pleased with that. I have plans. I have a little bit of haul. I have giveaway winners from the previous episode, and then I also have some serious whip progress. Before we get to that though, final reminder, the holiday kits, I did put a ton, not the holiday kits, the Christmas and July kits, I did put a ton of stock in on those, so they may still be trickling out well into holiday. Final reminder on that. After that, I will leave you alone. I have talked your ear off enough about this, but they're on the website if you'd like to get one, and all details are in the description. And those are Cardinal Kin, which is as spectacular as ever. It really does pop out just as much in life as it does on camera. And then the more tonal and subtle, but still gorgeous, Stacy Nash Wonderful Life Pinky Drum, shown here with my sparkling wreath tutorial. I love the display on this one. I just can't get over that. And then both of those are available on my website. All details in the description and in previous Flosstubes. So kit's still available, but with that, let's get to what I've been stitching. We're in the final, or I at least am in the final push to summer school, which is almost here. This is going to be my last Flosstube before summer school. I don't know where the summer has gone. How is it August already? It's crazy. So with the final prep for summer school and then working to drag the Briomart Sampler over the line, I haven't had as much time for my other whip and don't have as much progress as I would like to show you, but we'll still take a look at where I am on Flag Thief. And I also didn't have a minute to iron any of my projects today either, so you'll have to forgive me. They'll be ironed next time. This is a look at Katie's real stitching life. So Plum Street Samplers Flag Thief, this was a new release at market this year, and it is just adorable. I love the roof. Paulette put such great subtle details into her big houses. I think that's one of the things I love so much about her designs. And then the fox chasing a rabbit. Love the colors on this one, and I've definitely gotten into Flag Thief. I'm feeling it, even though it may not look like I'm feeling it. This is going to be next year's summer Flosstube kit, so I will not be releasing the conversion, but I do want to share my progress. I am trying to work my way down the house to get to that ground and be able to put in the grass. We're not really in dang grass territory with this one. This piece is not that large, but there's enough of it there, and it's enough of a color balance that I do want to start getting that in. So I am going to take this to summer school with me because it's got lots of block stitching, and I'm hoping I can start to get more colors in. So I haven't really added many colors since I saw you last. I did add my secondary red, which I think is working quite well. You need something that's totally different so that the reds are distinguishable from each other. And then I am also hoping to start picking some of the other colors for that roof. And then this is stitched on Legacy Linen 38 count cloister cream with an original silk conversion of Swat Goblins and 103. And since we're looking at my real stitching life, it's got quite a curve to it because this is how I hold my pieces while I stitch. I roll them up and then just expose the section that I'm stitching on. That's how I deal with the excess fabric. So don't use a hoop. If you are interested in how I cross stitch, like the actual mechanics and what I use, I do have a tutorial up, and I will link that in the description as well. This is the conversion, kind of messy at the moment. As it currently stands, I have used several of these colors. Where I'm really have question marks is here, the ones that it's not one of my Flosstubes until I drop something. These are kind of my question marks. I'm thinking about the colors that fill in the roof, but those sorry, everything from here on, as well as this brown, those are definites and part of the conversion. I think this is going to be an absolutely stunning thread pack. So I'm looking forward to getting more work in on Flag Thief, which is, oh, I can see this finish in my head, and I think it's going to be beautiful. The vibrant colors and then the fabulous slate roof, I think are just going to play perfectly off the cloister cream. So I hope to have more progress to show you on Flag Thief for next time. I'm also thinking about some fun extra embellishments for that. Also, as a reminder, if you haven't seen it already, my tutorial on adding sequins to your cross stitch is up on my YouTube channel. I'll link that in the description as well. I might be having a little fun with this guy. I have some ideas. We'll see if they turn out. Not all of my ideas do. Real life story. And then plans. So summer school right around the corner, and as I mentioned, one of the projects I will be taking is Flag Thief. I've got enough in on this that I can block stitch. You don't actually stitch that much. I talk way more than I do in my normal life. I'm probably going to come back with no voice. But the other project that I am taking with me in the summer school bag from last year, and with the fabulous beaded fob that I did not make myself but received as a gift for Sampler Symposium. But Sampler Symposium, summer school have the same initials at the same place, so I think that works really well for my summer school bag, which previously had a fob. So looks fabulous. And that is Fox and Rabbits, Elizabeth Campbell, 1838. I do have a really dinky start on this. It's on 48 count Legacy Linen March Pain. And I am hoping that I will be able to put in some more of that border. So I'm going to take the threads I have with me already and see what I can do with this. The reason I want to work on it at summer school is that, as I said the last time I showed you this, my sad dinky start, I first saw this piece at summer school last year when Karen was stitching the model, and so I want to work on my own this year at summer school. So Elizabeth Campbell is going to be coming with me. I've got a whole theme experience going on here with my themed fob bag and project, as well as Flag Thief, which is very appropriate because our favorite Fox and Rabbit are also members of the faculty at summer school, which is going to be great. I can't wait to see their presentation and their project. I know it's going to be wonderful. It's a real honor to be included with such a talented and deep faculty. So I think it's going to be a great summer school for all of you who are attending, and I'm really excited about it myself. But with that, let's get to what I have really been spending most of my time on since I saw you last, and that is the Briomart Sampler. I'm so excited to show you the Briomart Sampler. This piece truly has been a labor of love, and although it's not done yet, I'd say it's even odds whether or not I finish before summer school. That's a completely arbitrary deadline, but it'd be so great to have a finish and to be able to show that, just because I love this piece and it definitely does show up best in person. The shine of the silk's just incredible. And so this is really what I've been spending most of my time on since I saw you last, and thankfully not in vain, because that's a complete band 6, and that's actually the complete band's total for this sampler. We are now down to verse name date. I want to revise the border to my last band, which is twinging me in the worst way. And then I also need to add the detached needle lace petals to the rose in band 5 and give it its center. That's going to get petals that actually stand up off the fabric, although those are strictly optional if you're stitching this yourself. The satin stitch is absolutely glorious. It's so beautiful, quite frankly, that if I didn't love needle lace so much, I'd be having second thoughts about covering it up myself. I also added the attached needle lace to the blue balls in band 4. They're shaded. I added the missing border to band 5, and then I added the border to band 6, even though I'm going to frog half of that. I think that should really be pink and green, not pink pink. That struck me at the time, but I was thinking, you know, Kitty, you've used the same green on most of the borders. Here, here, here. Are you just going to use it everywhere? That is overkill. That is overdoing the bit. You know, I think I want to overdo the bit. It's my sampler. I make up my own rules. But I just want to... Okay, so the blue carnations are worked in satin stitch, and the satin stitch is worked in different directions, which means the light hits it differently, and so you see different things in the blue. It's all the same thread. There's no shading there, but the effect of the light gives you the illusion of shading. It's a really cool trick. I love filament silk. You will never get better satin stitch than you get with Soie de Paris, and oh, I love that. I did end up going with the lighter blue. If you remember from my previous Flosstube, I had a petal in that, and I was saying I was going to go to the medium blue in my shading palette. I tried that. And insert a photo here, and the thing is, it was spectacular. That's beautiful. It looks fantastic with the pinks, but the reason I decided against it and went for the lighter blue is that I thought that the darker blue was taking over, not just this band, but the whole piece. So if I went, you know, a few feet away from it, say I got up to get some water or something, my eyes went straight there. It was like my sampler had a black eye on it or something. So I went for the lighter blue, and I think that was the correct choice here. You can, of course, substitute the darker blue if you're sitting there going, Katie, you're crazy. That was it. Totally fine to mess around with my color choices on this if you stitch your own. And we're now down to, as I said, first name, date, missing needle lace, and then the revisions border, which, yeah, I put that in and then probably decided I hated it. My creative process is really tortured. The verse, as charted on my own, reads, be bold, be not too bold. Katie Strachan, her work, 2024, and I wanted to shade the phrase to kind of give emphasis to the words. So I've used 3 of my pinks and gone from darkest to lightest on be bold, be not too bold. And then that, I hope the camera will focus, is Montenegrin stitch for the blue dividing line. I wasn't sure how having the bolder pink was actually going to work. In isolation, it looked quite dramatic, but I think it's actually settling down now the other colors are in. So these are satin stitch letters, and then once I get through the verse and I'm on to name and date, I'm going to switch to eyelet. However, I would note that that's a choose your own adventure story on a couple of fronts. First, be bold, be not too bold, as the verse is meant to make this the Briomart Sampler. It's from Spencer, and it's meant to relate it to the title of the piece. However, Spencer isn't everybody's cup of tea, so an alternate charted verse is going to be provided, one of the standard acrostics from the 17th century that you did see on band samplers, as well as a full alphabet so that you can sign your own name to your Briomart Sampler. And then the other choose your own adventure component to this is that the chart unit essentially for both the satin stitch letters and the eyelet letters is a square over 2. So you can make a 1-for-1 substitution for cross, Smyrna cross, any rice stitch, anything that you would like if more satin stitch for the letters or eyelets are not your jam. There are a lot of variations on letters, on the way that they combined colors in the 17th century, and I wanted to just show you one example of that, and this is from the Good Heart Samplers. The sampler in question is MON, oh no, sorry, that's the accession number. This is Hester Sisson's 1659. She's got this big block of text in the center. And as you can see, she's alternating colors. This is actually what I plan to do once I get to verse name date. And you can see also that she's kind of stuck to the lighter end of her color range, which is something that I feel makes for quite effective alphabets and verses and all of that. Anyways, I'm blanking. Letters. Oh, yes. So although I have shaded in pink for the verse, I'm going to switch to alternating colors in letters in eyelet stitch once I get to name and date Katie Strack and her work 2024. I did better say 2024 on it or I'm going to do a nut. And then the back. So it gives you a look at the full sampler, including the top. So as you can see, where you're seeing needle lace on the front, that's not going through to the back. I did have to secure my thread end, so it's a little bulkier there than it was. But you don't see the full color that you have the needle lace on the front. And then that's the new part of the back. I'm close. I'm so close. If I could stick to actual stitching and not second guessing my choices like on the borders and frogging and restitching constantly, I'd definitely be done before summer school. But right now I'd say it's a toss-up whether or not I get to that point. But it's close. So every time I forget to say this, I get asked this question, but the Briomart Sampler is a coming release from Katie Strack and Artisan Embroidery. It will be available as a chart with full materials kit, so thread and linen, or a chart kit and class if you'd like instruction in all of the techniques. I don't know if I said this, but I brought in Montenegrin stitch for the dividing line between the rows of letters. It's getting there. I also think once I change that border up, that's really going to improve the balance. Oh man, close, 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 close. So I am hoping that I'll have maybe a finish to show you next time or something very, very close, because this is definitely my focus piece until this is done, and it'd be really nice to have a finish for summer school. It will be on display at the attic in whatever state of finish it's in when I get there, so if you're at summer school, it'll be at the shop for you to see. And then that's the Briomart Sampler. I'm sorry, I know I do go on about that. It's just I breathe, eat, sleep, live the Briomart Sampler at this point, so it's dominating all of my mental space. Let's get on to August 12th by 12th. So it's the start of August, but I have kind of needed to decompress from that monster and all the creative choices going on with it. So I decided to knock out my August 12 by 12, which, as previously discussed, is the Cheswick Company kit, whiskers, and is Pearl, which was the 30th anniversary release for the Cheswick Company last year, and I bought the kit then. I didn't get around to it last Christmas, but I did make it this weekend, and he is so cute. He's also quite large. If I were to do this again, I would copy the pattern sheet at 90% just to reduce the size on him a little. I mean, he's like the size of my head, legitimately. Absolutely adorable, but I think if you just reduce the size a little bit, it wouldn't make the included components, the pearl, the holly leaves, and the eyes, out of scale. It would just make him a little better ornament size. I'll find room for this guy on my tree, absolutely, but oh, look at that face. Isn't he adorable? I love otters. So I stitched this pretty much as instructed. I left out the date on the scarf because it's not my 30th anniversary. And I just do whip stitch instead of blanket stitch to assemble the piece. It is entirely hand stitched, and I used SWA 103, the 616 I talked about a few episodes ago. It was perfect, just disappeared right into the brown here, just because it makes the stitching more pleasant, and it does disappear right into the felt. So that is Whiskers and his pearl, which is my 12 by 12. So I now have 8 finishes of new ornaments for the year. And then my September 12 by 12 is going to be the model for the coming Crystal Dove release for holiday. And that brings us to hauls. I have 2 bits of haul, and the first one we'll start with is just, woo, this is stunning. This is what was about to arrive when I filmed last, and that I was really excited about. So this is a new slate frame. Thing to know about slate frames, they are a cottage industry, and makers go in and out retirement. They move on to other things. They're frequently hobbyists. And so there often aren't stable sources for slate frames. There's always somebody making them. You just sometimes have to dig to find them. The reason I mention this is because I have a large collection of slate frames. I established that many years ago, and I haven't really needed much beyond it since. But both of the makers that made all of my own frames are now out of the business. So I tried a new source, which was recommended by Mary Corbett. If you aren't familiar with her blog, Needle and Thread, which I'll link in the description, it is a wonderful resource for all things embroidery, from stitch tutorials to actual practical, oh, I just gave away the big reveal on where you can find supplies, her reviews of different places that you find supplies, different makers. It's a fabulous resource, and one that I really depended on, especially in the early years of my stitching journey. And this is my new slate frame. The maker is TF Woodcraft. This was made to order. I purchased it, I think, about 6 or 7 weeks ago. I actually kind of forgot about it in all the rush leading up to summer school, and then I got the shipping notice. It's like, oh, I'm looking forward to that. And what's really neat about this is the wood. This is purple heartwood. And theirs is really purple. I don't know if they do something to boost the color or not. And this is a small slate frame. So the small slate frame I currently have, or I did currently have, is in use for my casket panel, which I am going to get back to as soon as I'm done with the Briomart Sampler. I'm just going to wallow casket stitching. So this is my smallest slate frame, and as I said, it's in use. So I thought if I were going to add to my collection, what I would really want would be a small frame for just small quick projects like the Valentine I recently worked. It does have metal pins, however I use a Lowry, which is a rotating frame, so those would actually fall out. What I need to do is get nuts and bolts that'll fit the holes on that thing like I do with my regular slate frame. One thing I would note about TF Woodcraft, so I haven't actually used this yet. It's obviously beautifully made. The wood is spectacular. You don't have to get purple heartwood, by the way. They have all kinds of woods on their website. I'll link that in the description. Don't follow their lacing instructions. No, no. That is not going to give you good tension. What you do is you would assemble this, you'd prop it into place, and then you would do four-sided lacing like I do on my regular slate frames. So I will report back when I do actually have a project up on this one. No idea when that will be, but oh my gosh, isn't that just beautiful? I always love wood, but there's something about purple heartwood that is just uniquely stunning. I've seen it on my channel before. I have a Africo and laying tool set in purple heartwood. Unfortunately, these are purely decorative. A laying tool is a staple tool for me. This one just doesn't fit my hands as well, so I still use the first and cheapest one I ever bought as my daily laying tool. And the Africo I've just never really gotten into. I know what they're used for, but it doesn't do anything a laying tool can't do. And that's the tool I really like using. But they're beautiful, and this is from an Etsy seller called Boxwood Ruler. So if you just really want some gorgeous stitching accessories to set in your tray, which is what mine do, great source. And the slate frame is, oh my god, it's stunning. That's color accurate, by the way. That is what it looks like in life. I've got this crazy purple slate frame hanging out in my house, and I could not be happier about that. I am going to have to figure out a project to actually use that with. One other brief note on frames before we get on to my other piece of haul. For my incoming Elizabethan Valentine students, if you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, frames, don't worry, that's all covered in the first lesson, which is headed your way on September 1st. There are options that are less expensive than a slate frame. These can be great investments, but they're not necessary to work the course. So all of that information, a frame, how to use one, what your setup for working with one is, lacing your fabric, all in the first lesson, and no need to worry, you won't get behind if you don't currently have a working setup. That's all covered. Elizabethan Valentine students have all officially been registered in the course, and then at the end of August you're going to get your login information, your username and password. If you're a returning student, it's the same as with previous classes. And then on September 1st, the link to the first lesson will go out. The beginning of the class is almost upon us. If you'd like to join, I am still taking registrations for the Elizabethan Valentine. And then if you're a student and you don't get either of those emails, make sure to email me, use the contact form on my website, and provide an alternate contact method, another email or an Instagram handle so I can reach you. I have had some problems in the past with my emails getting blocked entirely. Haven't figured out how to get around that yet. It seems to be a biggest problem with Hotmail in particular. But anyways, oh, one more point on frames. Sorry. I get asked a lot about my setup. What do I use with my frames? And for that, I use a Lowry floor stand, which for my money is the best product on the market, bar none. It gives you a really comfortable working setup. It's very easy to access the back of your work. I've had mine for about 12 years when it's been in pretty much daily use, and as long as you keep it oiled, it is still as good as the day I took it out of the day of the box. So the way I use it is I actually have my frame in an almost fully upright orientation. I will tilt it just a little bit, square your shoulders to the frame, back straight, lean forward, essentially mirroring the angle at which your frame is at, and then you can work in a comfortable position without hunching, which is really important to me. I hunch too much in my daily life. I don't need to hunch while I'm sitting at my frame. So that's why I love the Lowry so much, is ease of access to the back and really comfortable working position. I have liked the Millennium frame in terms of ease of setup, good tension. However, it's not a natural fit with the Lowry. One, because of the weight, two, because of the round sidebars. And so between those two, I picked the Lowry every day of the week and twice on Sundays. That is a fantastic, fantastic piece of equipment. Your stand is actually probably more important than your frame. or at least that's been my experience. Your mileage may vary. Every stitcher has different preferences, and there's no right or wrong, and there's nothing wrong with having different preferences from my own. But since I get asked that question a fair amount, I thought I would answer it. And then last piece of haul before we get to give away winners. So I ordered a notebook. These aren't for sale. This is just something I had made for myself. It has a progress photo of the Briomart Sampler on the front, since this is what takes up all of my attention these days. And I was inspired by Susan Stanley's First Stitches scrapbook, which you can see on her Instagram. I'll link that in the description, as well as the chapbooks that Brenda had made recently and shared on their channel. Brenda and the Serial Starter as memory books of her stitching adventures. So I keep a lot of records relating to my stitching. All of my original projects have their own file with all my design materials. I keep sketchbooks with inspirations, with notes, and I also keep what is essentially a daily journal, recording what I did every day, what my creative struggles were, what decisions I wrestled with, and that's a lot of the granular detail about, you know, how I stitch and what I worked on. However, seeing what those two wonderful women have produced made me think I'd want something that was more like a memory book. Also, I keep making stickers to give out of gifts, and I had nowhere to put the set I keep for myself because I don't use a book a day as I keep a journal. I need more space to write down than you get in a book a day. So this is Katie Strachan, her book, starting with the year 2024. And it just covers some of my stitching memories, starting with Sampler Symposium. I also want to paste in some actual personal photos. Going on to some of the projects I did this year, AKGATE, the details on the piece, starting, finishing, how it was worked. Class I ran this year, Clean Hands Pin Pillow, last lesson posted in September. We're really close, guys. And Valentine worked, and then summer school stuff, which you can't see yet, but really looking forward to that. So this is kind of going to be like a memory scrapbook of just my stitching adventures, because I think it's really important to preserve the stories behind our stitching, not just the stitching itself. And that idea really appealed to me. If you liked Brenda's chapbooks idea, Artifact Uprising is also great. You don't need an app, it works in the browser, and I have used that to make photo books for family as gifts. I find the interface really intuitive and easy to work with, and it's a good quality product, so I can recommend that from personal experience. Although I'm going the old-fashioned cut and paste for my own scrapbook. And then our last thing today, I feel like this has been very little content and a lot of rambling, sorry. So this would be giveaway winners. We have the winners of the Mother of Pearl thread palettes. There were 2 sets or a gift from the wonderful Jackie Duplessis. And the first winner is Patricia Lally, 9476. For both winners, I have commented on your comment. Please give me your mailing address and I will get these out to you. Again, these are courtesy of Jackie and they were a gift. And then the second winner is Olia M. Kim. I pinned her comment on the previous video. Please go back and read it if you haven't seen it. She did homework for her answer. It's the etymology of the word mother and some thoughts about how the word usage and structure has evolved and what that says about the word's meaning. Gold star. That just presses every nerdy linguistic button in my book. So it's been pinned. Please go and read it. It was fabulous, thought-provoking, and very well sourced. Love it. I'm a huge word geek, so that just made my heart sing. Thank you. That was amazing. And then last thing before I go back to making myself crazy over the Briomart Sampler is that after the last episode, I reached a major milestone, which is 8,000 subscribers. I can't believe it. Thank you so much. I don't say this enough, but thank you for all the support that you give to this channel. Watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, your support of the Flosstube kits and my classes. It means more to me than I can find words to say. And I'm just, yeah, really, thank you. I had no idea when I started that it was going to become what it has, and it's awesome. And thank you all so much. I wish I had a giveaway for every single one of you. However, 8,000 subscribers definitely deserves really good giveaways, more than I can just scramble together on short notice. So we are going to celebrate that on the next video. I am going to shop for some extra treats at the attic to use as giveaways so that I can properly thank you for 8,000 subscriber milestone, and then we will have those giveaways on the next episode, which will be a little late. My next scheduled filming date would be right after my return from summer school. I love the attic events. They are absolutely amazing, but I'm also a really introverted person, so I need a minute after I get back to just kind of decompress, gather my thoughts, and have some words, because otherwise it's just going to be Megan staring on my next Flosstube, and no one's going to enjoy that. So my next Flosstube will be a little late. It will be in 2 weeks and a bit. And I'll have lots to share about summer school, including what my project was, what I talked about in my presentation. I'm so excited to share that with you all. I've been working really hard on it, and I can't wait to present it. I think it's going to be great. So I'm really looking forward to summer school, to great times with stitchy friends at the attic, which I will be telling you all about next time. And so I'll see you in 2 weeks and a bit, and until then, happy stitching.